Hi, it's Delia. Thanks for clicking on. So, I was talking to someone earlier today who has had a hip replacement, and then a few months later, as that was progressing, the recovery was progressing, they broke their foot. And so this is the first time in 3 months that this person is able to go out and meet their community without a wheelchair. And they're very excited about it. And as we were talking, this is somebody who has been training with me for a while. And as we were talking, they were saying, well, I'm going to go and it'll be great, and I'm a little worried about overdoing it. And so I asked, as a coach or a teacher often does, ask questions. I said, now what could you do in this situation for yourself? How could you be on your side in this situation? And they thought about it, and they said, well, I could talk to my body, like it was a brand new concept. And I said, yes, and what kind of things might you say to your body? And they were like, well, we're going to go do this. I said, okay. Now, does that statement sound like a conversation? And they were like, oh, no. So this is somebody who's had a lot of training in ignoring their body. There's a lot of, athletes get that kind of training, but so do intellects. So do anybody with a job. Anybody in this culture is trained over and over and over again, 1,000,000 times a day, to ignore their body and to override their body and to, feel the burn and do it anyway, and all those kinds of things. But if you're going to be in a relationship with your body, think of it this way. How long of all of your relationships, how long would any of them last if you overrid any of them as soon as they started talking or as soon as they finished talking, right? And think about all the times that you have been overridden or shut up or shut down anytime you were trying to do the talking, right? It's not a relationship. It's like so many things in our culture, it's like an owner-master kind of dictatorship. And, it's not a surprise or anything that there is so much dictatorship going on in the outer world, in society, in the government, at this time. Because now is the time for us to grow out of that whole structure of relationship. And the place to dismantle it first is in your head. How you talk to yourself, how you talk to your body, how you talk to your parts. When you are not listening, but demanding or commanding, how well do you respond to that? I don't know anybody who responds well to that. The only time, let me rephrase that. The only time people respond well to that is when it matches the kind of energy that they grew up in. And if the only way to be safe when you were a child in that kind of a situation, if you had a narcissist parent, or it was a narcissist environment, or a way over controlling environment, lots and lots of people have had that, then you can develop your only way of feeling safe is to comply to the letter of the law, right? I mean, there's two extremes. One is to comply to the letter of the law and do exactly how it should be, right? This kind of response, often people are described as being anal retentive. And they're that way because that's what it took to be safe for them in their environment. Did it keep them safe? Probably not, because in that kind of an environment, it's so wishy-washy and the rules change to suit the ruler. So there's no way you can predict, if I do this, if I cross this T, if I dot this I, I'll be safe. But that doesn't mean we don't adopt that as a life-saving. And the reason the way it's a life-saving survival mechanism is that you feel so compelled to cross the T just right there, and dot the I just right there, and to be so devoted to doing things the right way, and and in contrast to that, the people who chose that path tend to be pretty intolerant and flummoxed by people who don't want to live that way. And the people who don't want to live that way get titled lazy or stupid or irresponsible or disrespectful, something that has a charge to it that's like really bad. So the person who opted for the T crossing approach, that kind of perfectionism, right? And it's a compulsion. It's not like a choice. That's a symptom of a very unsafe environment and coming up with a very specific mode of action to keep you safe, whether it did or not. And then your whole system, your body, your nervous system, your reactions, your habits of thought and judgment are all calibrated to that. That's what it takes to keep you safe. Even if it didn't always work. Because when you're a kid, you have to come up with a solution because your survival depends on it. And so even if it's a solution with a 40% success rate, it's going to feel in your body like the only thing you can do. Because it was the only thing you could do then. And this culture is not known for being aware of these decisions and conclusions that were made at different times in our lives, needing to be cleaned up later. And by cleaned up, I mean brought into present time, love the part that came up with the solution, have a real conversation, and bring all the parts to oneness, to community, to the table, right? So, in the case of someone who became really obsessive about how things had to be done, it's as difficult for them to learn as it is for anybody else that they can be safe now, and that time has passed, and probably the threat is gone. Probably the people who perpetrated it all, they may be dead and gone. So it doesn't take only thinking. It takes an awareness. It takes an awareness of the sensations in your body, of the emotions, what stimulates what's going on inside of you. And this is such a voyeuristic society. It's all about what the camera sees. It's all about how it looks out there, that it takes training and coaching to bring your center back inside of you and then have your decision based on what sits well with you. That right there takes time to learn. What do I, what do I need? What do I want? What do I choose? When you've had so many tentacles sent out to other people as the guidance of what is what you can have, it's really challenging to learn a different orientation, and it takes a lot of reminders. As appropriate. I mean, we're supposed to be learning things as we grow, and so that's appropriate. Now, just I want to point out the opposite side of that. The opposite way of dealing with uncertainty and threat and danger as a child. You can, like I said, I've just talked about getting really married to the rules and being very devoted to and upset if the rules aren't followed. And then the opposite side, and there's a million of degrees between these two, but the opposite side is the same thing. It's just it looks like the opposite reaction. So the other way of doing it is everything is so helter-skelter and uncertain, and they keep changing the rules. You can decide to not even try. And you can just go on like what do you call it? I call it a preemptive strike solution. So a preemptive strike solution is, it's not going to work. I can't do anything to change the situations. No one's going to listen to me. So I'm not going to try. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to do what I really want to do because that'll get shot down. So I will just do, as little as possible. And this can turn into what appears to be like a free spirit person and happy-go-lucky and unconcerned by the judgments of others. But that may be the facade, just like the P's and Q's person, or the, crossing your I's and dotting your T's person. That's a facade of somebody who's anal retentive as opposed to someone who actually is. Because when we have these solutions, these facades that saved our lives, they're so automatic. We think that that's our personality. Plus, we live in a culture that calls our coping patterns our personality, making no distinction between the two, which is crazy making right there. So if you're seemingly easygoing and free-spirited and messy and casual and unconcerned about anything, if that's a facade, then just like the other one, eventually it's going to start to eat your lunch because you're not being true to yourself. And you don't want to blame yourself for that because, again, these are coping patterns we came up with in dangerous situations. And so to be a grown-up, with a lot of years on you, and to look back at your younger selves and your younger choices, not in evaluation, which is a really nice way of saying judgment usually, but genuine concern, genuine caring, like as if you were talking to a child outside of your head, outside of your body, outside of your life experience. And you would say something kind. You would say something like, I realize that this is a scary situation and that nobody's ever told you that. And that there's a lot of blaming you for things that are not your responsibility and problems that you didn't cause in your existence, can't cause or cure. And I'm really sorry that you took all that on. And I can see why you did. And that was very brave and courageous of you. And you used the the tools that you had and the information that you had to come up with this brilliant solution to the situation. The situation is different now. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but I am now X number of years old. And you're, how old are you? 3, 4, 6, 7? I'm not. So I can provide for you in ways that they could not. And if you would like that, I would really like that too. And you can be the invitation to your younger self, to be in a conversation, to be in a real relationship where you want to hear what these younger parts have to say. And you want to do all that you can in the present to bring them out of being frozen in the past, so that all of you can live together in completely new ways with so much more joy and possibility than maybe you've ever even imagined. So this person I was talking to today has had a lot of these experiences that I just described, talking to the parts and reincorporating miraculous results, miraculous by their own comments. So when we were talking about doing something in a recovery mode, recovering, mobility, and they were saying that they were concerned about overdoing it, I just reminded them that they have a lot of training in overdoing it. But now they have information they didn't used to have. And now they can listen to their body. And so the conversation is more like, okay, body, we're going to do this thing. We're going to go and see these people, which is good for our recovery. And it'll be more effort than we're used to right now. And we might get very tired. And that's okay, because this is just what we're doing right now. And it's okay to be doing it. This is what recovery looks like. You begin to regain mobility. And often at the beginning of that, you overdo it, but just, as long as you're not trying to really overdo it, it's just the natural stretch of coming back into action again in all the healthy ways. And then, of course, there's the permission that okay, body, if I do something that you really don't want me to do, by all means, let me know. I want to hear you. And then during the outing, they can listen to pain, physical pain, or anything else, and just keep talking, just like in a relationship, just like with your friend. And that builds so much trust. It helps you really know that you are on your side. It makes such a big difference. And there's 1,000 of these opportunities a day to be on your side and to be in the conversation with yourself. And it does take training, and it does take practice. All the best things do. So I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you experiment with new ways of communicating with your body in a friendly way. All right, as usual, I would love to hear what your experience was with this information, what kind of experiences you've had with your body and with talking with your body. And until next time, take care.